there was a strange pull where Moon Knight was like, Dracula, you get out. Like, Moon Knight was like, get out here, I'm gonna fight you. And everyone dies in the MCU, and everybody wants someone to be brought back to life. Wanda. I almost said something really mean. I don't think Josh Gad sold his soul. But Josh Gad is gonna be in Wonder Man, and I think he's playing himself, and if that is a running bit, that Mephisto is the one that gave Josh Gad his talent.
Oh my God. There's this moment where they're just fighting, and Doom wrecks Mephisto. And Mephisto's like, Herc! Ah! Welcome back to New Rockstars. Mephisto is now confirmed to be in the MCU. When and where will we see him next?
I don't know, but I do know where we're going to talk about it. Can I say it?
Yes.
On the Sneak Peek, hosted by me, Jessica Clemons, and Erik Voss.
Hi, Jess.
Crazy
the
week.
world feels different. We're like, my skin feels different. I feel powerful.
Moisturized.
I feel like I can do no wrong. I am now out of my shame period.
That is true. What are you going to do now?
Probably predict something else wrong.
Keep going. Now change it up for Mr. Sinister.
Oh, yes.
Or Nightmare. You could go Sinister or Nightmare.
Sinister confirmed.
Oh my God. Sinister will come within like a couple years though. Like you don't have to wait as long as you did for Mephisto.
So yeah, Mephisto. I mean, Ironheart really just feels like they made this show for us, and I love it. I love this show. It's it just does so many things well. It didn't even need Mephisto, to be honest. Yeah. But I feel like it was a gift.
It was a gift. It was a really good closing to put him in only the 6th episode.
Yeah.
To get all the little ramp up for it, but showing up in the 6th episode, opening a door, sitting down at a restaurant.
Eating pizza.
And
then feeding them pizza and saying, take a bite. Like, ugh.
There's just something about like not having to come in the most like boisterous, like the most spectacle way. He did a spectacle in his own regard of like, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm just making it comfortable for you. Now let's talk business.
And he is a big name, Sacha Baron Cohen. And like, this is a big deal that he showed up this way. Marvel Studios has to have plans for him in the future. And we've done quite a few videos at this point talking about what are the rules of a contract with Mephisto. Who else might he have made contracts with? What are the rules of Mephisto versus the character of Death from Agatha all along? How does that all work? Will any of those questions get answered, or is he just going to be like kind of a recurring face in the MCU? Well, Dominique Thorne actually started to answer this question on Deadline in an interview. She said, Riri's been making all these choices that she thinks other people will approve of. We finally get to the end and she's like, I'm going to do what I think is correct and see what happens then, because clearly her trying to play both sides hasn't been working for her. And she says, my gut is telling me that this is not the last we've seen of Mephisto. And I don't think that this is the last that we've seen of him in connection with Parker Robbins, and obviously clearly not with Riri. I think Mephisto is probably in for a bit more of a headache than he bargained for with Miss Riri Williams. I think regardless of what Mephisto thinks is going to happen, Riri most certainly has other plans in mind. So let's look ahead to the upcoming Marvel titles that we know are happening, things that have been speculated, and see how Mephisto could fit into it, if at all.
Yeah.
I think by having him show up in Ironheart, a show that seems to be a story about engineering, technology, and how technology encroaches on magic, it's an interesting combination because I think it just conveys that Mephisto really can show up anywhere. Yeah. He defies genre. You don't have to have a show about the occult and the witchcraft and demonology. You can have Mephisto just show up in any show at any point.
Yeah, 100%. That is the best ties. And I can't wait till we talk about the future of the shows because I'm like, dude, he told us about how he makes deals with like big entertainers, big names, and we're going into Wonder Man. I'm not saying Wonder Man is the connection, but I almost said something really mean. I don't think Josh Gad sold his soul. But Josh Gad is going to be in Wonder Man, and I think he's playing himself. And if that is a running bit, that Mephisto is the one that gave Josh Gad his talent.
Oh my God. Well, we should clarify, because Mephisto doesn't give people talent, but he does give talented people, desperate people, the opportunity. He opens the door for them. And I think because that's the thing. We don't want to say that Riri didn't have talent or that Parker didn't have talent. They both had talent. They were just unseen. They didn't have an opportunity, and Mephisto just opens the door for them. And I like that distinction, because then it kind of opens the possibility to people like Killmonger. Killmonger, clearly very talented, but what happened to him when he was in Oakland as a kid? He's going to go unseen. So he is someone, if Ryan Coogler is the executive producer, you could see Killmonger making a deal with Mephisto to at least get the opportunity to get vengeance on his Wakandan family.
I can see that. I think the only part that they're going to have to like survey or convey in a different way is like, oh, the way that we have been keeping in communication is usually via your scars. Yeah. And that's what made me come to Killmonger, because I was like, what if he just lied to us? Yeah. And they actually weren't him just like slicing into himself. It was actually a version of Mephisto scarring.
Yeah.
But I do think like that Killmonger makes so much sense, especially as a child that's father died and had nothing. And then he's like, well, I can open a door for you.
I can help you.
I can help you get in there.
Yeah, because like I made a case in another video, like people who were born into a royal family probably didn't make a deal with Mephisto unless they were part of that royal family that was like disinherited, as Killmonger was as a kid, as Killmonger and his father were. They were exiled. Or I mean, initially his father chose to step away because he felt that the Wakandans weren't doing enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are some royals, you know, I mean, Tony Stark was born into so much privilege, and it didn't seem like he needed to deal with Mephisto to get ahead. He was such a public figure from his youth. He was, you know, articles were being written by him or written about him when he was still a child who graduated early, you know?
100%. But stuff could have been given to his dad.
Right. Howard Stark is a different story. We don't know how the Stark family came into their wealth. So
I think, and that this goes back to Agatha with, what's her name? The generational curse. Where I'm like, I would love to. I also made like an
Alice
idea.
Wu Gulliver, yeah.
And I kind of made like, not completely a similar distinction, but just with like Jack Russell and Werewolf by Night being like, oh, actually the reveal being it was a curse given to his family or given to him by actual Mephisto. Where I'm like, oh, I can see Mephisto doing something to someone else. And even though in that generational wealth just came from that original curse or that original deal.
Yeah.
So they're going to die eventually anyways too. So it's like, no one knows. No one ever knew what happened.
There's like a couple different ways that you could use Mephisto in the MCU. You could say that characters that we've already met, who we have questions about, have retroactively made deals with Mephisto. You could reveal that about them. Or we could set up future scenarios where Mephisto approaches characters where they are now in their lives.
100.
So the latter of those scenarios brings us to Peter Parker in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is now shooting. And I feel like the timing is perfect. Now that the world knows that Sacha Baron Cohen is Mephisto in the MCU, they don't have to be as secretive. For Spider-Man Brand New Day, we know that John Bernthal, Frank Castle the Punisher, is going to be in that. There's some rumors that they're going to be teaming up to fight like a Savage Hulk, like a classic Hulk who's a rage monster. But there's also some rumors that there's going to be 3 MCU characters. So we got Bernthal, we got Ruffalo, and then maybe we also have Cohen.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. And I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. Like, they called it Brand New Day, which is the follow-up period from One More Day before we get to One Moment in Time. And both of those other 2 stories are Mephisto events, where Mephisto approaches Peter Parker and says, hey, I can fix your life. I can make everyone forget who you are. I mean, that's already the state that Peter Parker's in. So it would have to be like a different deal, you know? I don't need that for Spider-Man Brand New Day, personally. I want it to be a Mr. Negative story or a Wilson Fisk story. I don't need Mephisto in it.
I also think because this was shot so long ago, they weren't really sure of what the effects were going to be, but they were sure of what Spider-Man was going to be. Okay. So I don't think they probably accounted for Mephisto yet. But again, this doesn't discount that they can just retroactively change a lot of things in the past because Mephisto's now here. All Mephisto has to say is, yeah, I had to deal with this woman that went crazy and started going through different universes and taking people's children. And then we're like, oh, okay, so he did have to deal with Wanda. Like, that's all it takes for him to connect to anybody. So he could say eventually, like, yeah, this one wizard. Oh, well, I guess they did do that in the animated Spider-Man, being like, this wizard and that kid that did that weird thing. But it just takes Mephisto saying that one thing, and it automatically connects him.
So for Brand New Day, are we Mephisto or Mephisto?
I think Mephisto.
I'm in Mephisto for Brand New Day.
But they could do it as a post-credit. Because, you know, those are sometimes directed by different people, so it could just be inserted where he's like, do you want me to bring on Maybach? And I don't mind him having, like, a job that's like, I can bring back people, because everyone dies in the MCU, and everybody wants someone to be brought back to life. Wanda. So it's like, now we have that cause. We're like, oh, I guess he could come back and be like, you want Aunt May? Well, I'm going to have to kill MJ or something like something bad.
Do we think, let's move on to Avengers Doomsday. So that is now coming out after Brand New Day. It's coming out in December 2026. this is a movie that we know the OG X-Men are coming back. Robert Downey Jr. is playing Dr. Doom. There's going to be some multiverse stuff going on. We don't know if we'll get to Battleworld yet, but it seems like we will see some parts of Battleworld. Do they make room for Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto in this story?
I wish they would, just because he'd be so unhelpful in every degree. Yeah. It would be just genuinely comedy. But I don't have a lot of faith a lot of Marvel television characters are going to be showing up in Doomsday.
Yeah,
I think they're focusing really big on the movie folks. The people that like are channeling in the Marvel cinematic part of the universe. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, I don't think him or Dominic Thorne are going to be showing up in Doomsday.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Coogler was asked if like Dominic Thorne's story and Ironheart could lead her to have some kind of connection with Doctor Doom, and I think he had some kind of like hopeful response to that. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think if we do see any of them, maybe Moon Knight, maybe She-Hulk, just because we have that concept art of the Hulk village, and maybe Jen shows up there. I don't know.
I think it definitely. I think there's a math to it, but I do think you're right. It would be like She-Hulk and Moon Knight. And also, again, those people are especially. You always need a Hulk. A. B, with Moon Knight, it's just the limitation, but without limitation. It's him and Khonshu being there that's going to be affecting, and I think that's a big character to bring in. That makes sense.
Mephisto and Doctor Doom have a fascinating relationship in the comics because Doctor Doom's mother, Cynthia Von Doom, made a deal with Mephisto, and she is burning in hell. And Dr. Doom hates Mephisto for that reason and has gone into hell to try to save his mother. And there's a recent run from 2019, Dr. Doom #3, the Cantwell LaRocca arc, where like there's this moment where they're just fighting and Doom wrecks Mephisto. He grabs him by the throat and Mephisto's like, "Herk!" And then he goes, "How can it be blasphemy when I'm truly meant to save all of humankind?" And it's just like, I need to see that.
That's so funny.
But I don't know if Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom is the Doom for that. I feel like that's something that needs to be 5 years from now, when it's like a different actor playing Dr. Doom in the MCU from a different universe. And then he's on a journey to save his mom, Cynthia.
That has to be a Jack Doom that is just also kind of an idiot. That acts before he actually.
Yeah.
But it's doable. I love when the Marvel comics were like, you know what? Yeah, we can let just superheroes go to hell. Why not? And then they go fight their demons. Daredevil did it. But also, I think there was a strange pull where Moon Knight was like, "Dracula, you get out!" Like Moon Knight was like, "Get out here! I'm gonna fight you!" And everyone was scared. Like, I love those setups. That's the campy part I miss about the comics. Bring it in. Doom. Someone should fight Mephisto. Someone's gonna have to physically hit Mephisto at one point. I need to see it.
So I'm between Avengers Doomsday, and we'll say Avengers Secret Wars. Are we Mephisto no or Mephisto go?
I'm gonna say Mephisto no.
I'm Mephisto no as well. I just don't think that those stories need Mephisto in it.
No. But again, Wonder Man.
Okay, so let's consider the possibility that maybe they're just thinking of Mephisto as a character, as one of the big bads on the television side.
For now, I think they'll extend it for sure, 100%. That's Mephisto. That's Mephisto.
It's
literally
Mephisto.
There's people that will go that interlock with him that are already in the cinematic universe.
Yeah.
But for the television side, oh hell yeah, they're gonna be using him.
We have Wonder Man, and this is a story with Simon Williams, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, teaming up with Trevor Slattery, played by Ben Kingsley, who we last saw in Shang-Chi, and before that was in Iron Man 3. Ed Harris is playing Simon's agent. Josh Gad is going to be in it. It's going to be kind of like a Hollywood satire a little bit. It's coming in December. We don't know a lot about the story because Simon Williams is a character who's the brother to Erik Williams, the Grim Reaper, and is part of the West Coast Avengers. But we don't know if that's what they're going to be doing in the show. Because yes, he is a stunt man who gets superpowers, but it's like, is this going to be kind of a WandaVision thing where it's like a parody of television? Or is it like a parody of the industry, like the way Barry is? So we here at the Break Room do not eat on camera because honestly, none of us want anybody else to have to watch us eat. But you better believe Bagel Day here at New Rockstars drives water cooler convo here all week long. We love food. Everybody loves food, but when you don't have the time to cook, it can be hard to make sure that the food you eat is the food that you love, unless you use Factor. So Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating deliciously and eating well easy. They are dietitian approved and ready to eat in 2 minutes. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Factor takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success. You get to skip all the shopping and chopping and instead just get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. And Factor meals are always fresh, they're never frozen, and there are over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and more. I had the veggie tomato risotto a few nights ago, and it was just really, really good. It was just a perfect level of like a tomatoey bite with the risotto to sponge it all up. Just so good. And it was ready in 2 minutes. Get started at factormeals.com/newrockstars50off and use code newrockstars50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code newrockstars50off at factormeals.com/newrockstars50off for 50% off plus free shipping. factormeals.com/newrockstars50off. So do we think there are a lot of like angles Mephisto has in the industry, and there are like industry stories of actors selling their souls to get parts, right? So do we think Mephisto could show up in Wonder Man? I think it's gonna be someone's gonna say it offhand. I think they got to. You're dealing with Hollywood now. Yeah, there's people that sell their soul to get here. And I made a joke reference that it's Josh Gad. I'm not saying it's Josh Gad. I really do genuinely like Josh Gad. I just think it would be funny if that was like the reveal of like Josh Gad being like, oh, I had to do something. Like I had to sign a contract once. I believe Josh Gad is playing himself on the show. That's why he's not playing another character. No, that's why I think it's funny. It's Josh Gad being like, I did sell my soul. See, I feel like they shot Wonder Man 2 years ago, and similarly, I don't know if they would have known the impact of Mephisto. But do you think? At the time. Okay, so two things. One, did they change the dates originally how they were going to release Wonder Man? Because I do think that Ironheart did ripple other people's properties, and I think mainly Vision Quest, because I do think they're going to use a lot of counters from Ironheart in Vision Quest, and they were like, whatever we push Vision or wherever we push Ironheart might affect Vision Quest. Do you think they were doing the same thought with Wonder Man? They met because I do think they pushed the dates a little bit. I think originally Ironheart was going to come out in 2023 and was going to be the first one of them, and then Vision Quest and Wonder Man were going to come out maybe in a different order, but. You do bring up an interesting possibility that, you know, we heard from Deadline and Hollywood Reporter and Variety that Sacha Baron Cohen was going to be on the Ironheart series. Maybe that was just like, we can't hide this, but while we have him to shoot for a couple days, we also shoot some scenes for Vision Quest and shoot some scenes for Wonder Man. And like, he could make cameos in these other shows. Were they shooting in Atlanta? I know they shot pieces here. They shot it all in LA. Damn, so maybe not. Oh, did they were shoot Ironheart in Atlanta? Yeah, they were doing mainly Atlanta. It's easier to hide people when you shoot stuff in LA because like Sacha Baron Cohen's just shooting all kinds of stuff in LA. Damn. You just get him on a lot. And that is true. That is true. He's just here, so he could just do his job. Yeah. He could just do his job where he lives. Also, I was going to say, the second part was, you know how many times they kept throwing out lines alluding to Mephisto and every other thing. Even in WandaVision, even in Agatha All Along, they threw out like, ooh, it could be Mephisto, but we're not going to say the capital M. They can still do that in the script for Wonder Man. And it just feels like there's going to be a joke about selling your soul. Well, now we're special. This was the case before, but now anytime anyone in the MCU says a deal with the devil of any kind, that's who they're referring to. That is a real thing now that exists in this universe. It's not just a hypothetical. Yeah. If they use the like jokey line of like sign your life away, I'm going to be like, oh, so this person's an agent of Mephisto. Yeah. Who has the contract? Mephisto does. So I'm thinking like either I'm going to play the odds here. Okay. Either Wonder Man or Vision Quest or both. I'm Mephisto Go. I think we will see or have him mentioned in at least one of those shows. I 100%. I know that I can put more of my money on Vision Quest for sure. Because if we're bringing James Spader's actual body into the play, it's like, oh, okay, so we're going to get a
human. We're getting James Spader. We're getting James Spader playing Ultron. I think there's going to be some communication about how we can put him in a normal body.
Yeah.
And then they're going to look at Zeke Stain and be like, oh, we took pieces and put it in here. Maybe we can do that with another human. And it's going to be like, well, let me check the database. Oh, well, there was this girl working on spirits, working with ghost things.
So the next movie we can at least look at as a possibility that Marvel says they're still doing is Blade.
Oh, well, yeah.
Do we think Mephisto shows up in Blade?
I don't think it's in that script period right now.
Okay, but do you think a draft gets written that...
Yes, and it would be dumb not to in a most respectful way. Well, actually, I guess it depends. If it's still a period piece, maybe not. But because if they change
he's been
it
around since Shakespeare's time.
Yeah, but if they include more characters like Ghost Rider, yeah, they have to mention it. But I don't think Ghost Rider's going to be in the period piece version of Blade, because I think that's more about the period piece of Blade than it is about incorporating other characters.
So I think then, yeah, if it comes to Blade, I'm Mephisto. No.
Yeah, for now.
In that case,
if they redo that script, which they will probably do, I think they'll include it. I think that was the numbers are up right now in Mephisto. People are searching because they've been waiting. This is a hot guy. It would be crazy if they weren't anticipating this much of coverage when it was announced. And that's why I'm like, I think they are ready to put him in other things.
Yeah. And I think they're going to announce things. Like, I think they're not going to be at Hall H, it sounds like. I think they should. I think they should just make some announcement. I think there'll be some deadline report where they'll say, hey, so we are doing a Ghost Rider show. This actor's going to be our Ghost Rider. And then Sacha Baron Cohen's coming back as Mephisto in it. So yeah, let's talk about some hypothetical titles that we've heard rumored for the past couple years that they might be pursuing. Let's start with Ghost Rider. I feel like that is the natural next step. 100. Mephisto is the source of Ghost Rider's hell flame. Mephisto was in the 2007 Ghost Rider movie with Nicolas Cage, played by Peter Fonda in that movie. And then it was played by a different actor in the follow-up film from 2011. But yes, you kind of can't do Ghost Rider without Mephisto, arguably. They did on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that was a different Ghost Rider. So yeah, I feel like the odds that Ghost Rider is either a series or a movie in the next 5 years from Marvel Studios just shot way up.
Yeah, 100%. They know what we're waiting for. They know what we're clamoring for, and it's for the X-Men, and it's for the supernatural that is Ghost Rider and the Midnight Suns. I want the Midnight Suns. I want the Midnight Suns.
Me too.
And I want Ghost Rider. That is so fun. I don't know how cheap it is. It's just the skull. It's just the skull.
They could afford it on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it looked good on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And it's just the skull. You can even paint his face like Nicolas Cage and no one knows because that's a weird thing to do. But no, yeah, and I think them setting up like, I have other clients. Yeah, one of them is Ghost Rider.
I think one of them is Johnny Blaze, and I think they're going to go back to Johnny Blaze.
Johnny Blaze?
Well, Donnie Blaze is like...
Yeah, Donnie Blaze.
No, that's the one who was in She-Hulk. Yeah, Johnny Blaze was the magician.
Doesn't he kind of look like
Mephisto? And we all thought that he was connected to Ghost Rider, like is he his brother or something like that. And I think his stage name was a reference to a guy named Johnny Blaze who exists somewhere in the MCU.
Yeah.
That was at least my interpretation of it. I don't know.
Yeah, he definitely stole someone's identity.
So I just don't know if it's going to be a movie. They are so focused on Doomsday right now, and then Secret Wars after that, and then X-Men after that. It's kind of like, well, if you have Blade as well, you're going to do a Fantastic Four follow-up, another Doctor Strange movie. Where do you introduce Ghost Rider? Is he with Doctor Strange in like a post-Secret Wars movie?
Yeah.
Or does you introduce him in Battleworld? Is he just a player on the field, Battleworld and Doomsday and or Secret Wars? And then from that, he gets a spinoff story where Sacha Baron Cohen shows up as Mephisto.
Yeah, I think that's the most organic way to do it, unfortunately, since they already put their eggs in the Blade basket.
I mean, we got Black Panther 3 as well. Like, there's all these movies that have to come out sometime after Doomsday, and it's like, okay, well, now it's getting hard to fit this into the next 5 years. And
it's just like that. Even though Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider was so wild, it was like a perfect movie spectacle that I still want from a new Ghost Rider. Yeah. I would love a Ghost Rider movie just because it's Ghost Rider. Like, it's just fun and ridiculous, but big, and it can be gaudy. And I think that works better for a movie than it does for a series. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to give it a movie. There's too much on the docket. Could you imagine getting Ghost Rider in 2029?
I can't even imagine 2029 right now. We're so far away from it. So, yeah, he seems like a character, Mephisto, that needs to be on the big screen.
100.
But it seems like Marvel has the most opportunities right now to explore him on their streaming shows. So does this make it likelier for an Agatha season 2 or some other supernatural series, whether it's that or Strange Academy?
I think so. I would hope so. But I also think the other caveat to this is like, does Mephisto feel, because his entire thing is showing up, just appearing when you are least expecting him. I wouldn't expect a series from that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I would not expect him to be the star of a show unless he's just showing up randomly throughout the show.
Unless you were going to do an anthology series called Agents of Mephisto.
Which
and I think
want.
they should.
Which
you should build that show.
That would be so fun because it's literally everybody. That would feel like the Agatha story where we go every episode was the journey of a different witch. I'm like, yeah, give me the Agents of Mephisto. I want to see every single person, or at least 5 of them that are prominent that have signed a deal with Mephisto, and Kingpin being the finale one.
Right. Yeah, I made a pitch that either Kingpin or Val made a deal with Mephisto.
I don't think it's Val, right?
I think she has. I think either Val or Kingpin did.
Because that's also the thing. She became smart from her experience. When she was younger, she didn't have any experience. So she probably did sign a deal with the devil and was like, yeah, I'll just deal with it later. Oh, that is did you see Meg Flanagan's, not the House of Usher, it is the House of Usher. The House of Usher, that is literally the premise, is just like, spoilers, the dad signs a deal that allows all of his bloodline to get killed once he starts dying.
Oh, wow.
And
I didn't see that one.
It's
that's wild.
Rough. It is rough. He signed a deal with an ancient devil witch, and she's like, yeah, you'll get everything you want. In return, you can't have a bloodline. When you die, you're the last one. And he knowingly had sex with a lot of people and had a bunch of different offsprings.
What an asshole.
And his sister knew the deal. And that's why she never had kids. But she was like, you just couldn't stop. And he had a bunch of kids that just kept going one by one. And the grandchildren went with it. It's horrible.
This is
Spoilers.
horrifying.
It came out 2 years ago. But that premise is like a premise that... I hope it doesn't work like that, but I'm like, for Val, it seems like, yeah, she would have started it, and now she's just like, you know what? I'm just dealing with the repercussions. He wouldn't go after like Sentry though.
No.
Sentry clearly couldn't.
Well, that's the thing. Sentry's someone who's like homeless. He got addicted to fentanyl when he was in middle school. He had to wander the earth trying to take these experimental treatments.
Damn.
I don't think Mephisto was part of that process at all.
Mephisto was like, I don't want anything to do with that boy.
He's like, you're on your own path.
You're just going to be destructive if I made a deal with you. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But no, I think it's more...
Now, you could say Mephisto by extension if Val was part of it. But again, then it's kind of like, okay, well, is an agent of Mephisto corrupting someone, Mephisto corrupting someone? I don't know. It's kind of hard to say who's responsible on the RICO charge there.
The RICO charge? Jesus Christ. Does Kingpin, does he give I Believe in Magic vibes?
He seems like, no. He is a man who worked his way up. However, like, they have been shooting Daredevil Born Again Season 2. We are close enough to it to where maybe we do get a tease of Wilson Fisk and Mephisto or someone else. Bullseye and Mephisto.
I don't know. He drove that dead body into a building.
Yeah, okay, so Daredevil Born Again, Mephisto or Mephisto? I think I'm now Mephisto on Daredevil Born Again Season 2.
I would love it because my chaos brain is like, yeah, I want to challenge religion in Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, right?
We always talk about
Matthew
it, but
Murdock is a Catholic, you know?
We've never talked about the other gods that are in the MCU. And if he is what we see as hell, the closest representation we have to a devil in hell, that guy showing up is bad news bears for the Catholics.
So I think to sum up what we're saying is that Mephisto probably won't show up in the next couple movies of Marvel Studios. However, we do think he'll get referenced in some way in one of these Disney Plus shows that's coming up. Wonder Man, Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Vision Quest. And then we'll start to hear over the next 6 months some big title that they're going to announce that Mephisto will clearly be a part of, whether it's Ghost Rider, Midnight Suns, Agents of Mephisto, Agatha Season
Agents of
2,
Mephisto.
one of these big supernatural titles that Mephisto will be the villain for. Or they'll say, like, Doctor Strange 3 will be a Mephisto villain story.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun because you're bringing in like basically kind of Dormammu, and he clearly does not care for that man.
Yeah.
Even though Dormammu is way more powerful.
Are we going to revisit the beef between Dormammu and Mephisto?
So I went back because of Ironheart, went back and watched the first Doctor Strange movie, and I forget that he literally banished also Dormammu. He was like, you can't come to Earth either. Like, don't come back. So how is he gonna come fight Mephisto if Mephisto's been hiding on Earth? Mephisto's like, yeah, forget him. And it's like, you're talking a lot of shit for a man that can't fight the guy that can't come to Earth.
Right. He's going to have to, I feel, this is what I like about Mephisto, though, is that he uses these weird kind of like legal temptations of a contract, right? And he offers people these tools to get ahead. So it's kind of like Doctor Strange is it'd be like a doctor versus a lawyer, right? The world's most effective doctor versus the world's most effective lawyer, someone who gets you to sign something that goes against your interests. So I'd be curious to see what type of battle that is, because I think Doctor Strange is most interesting when he's battling not like in creative, interesting ways, whether it's the dark version of himself using music or fighting Thanos with this kind of wizardry, fighting Dormammu with time loops. Like Doctor Strange is more interesting when he's not just doing fist to fist.
100. And it still begs the question whether Clea will be there with him.
She should.
She should, right? And then have they officially said in the MCU she is the daughter of Dormammu?
I don't think they've said that in the MCU.
Because I was like, if they do say that, that's more business for Mephisto to deal with, to be like, oh, get her away from me. She's not allowed to be here in this conversation.
The longer we talk about Mephisto, the more I'm like, I can make 100 videos about him
where
right
he
now.
is,
and
or
I
what
will.
he's done, or what he's done. You can literally go back. I kind of hate it, but you can fit him into so many plot holes.
Oh, God.
And they could just retroactively, or they could not retcon, because they are putting in the con. They're putting it in.
I am about to annoy so many people on the internet.
Go ahead.
Over the next 6 months. Oh, my God. Can you imagine? I need to just like focus on other things. Thank God that we have Superman coming out and Fantastic Four and Jurassic World.
Every now and then you're going to go, wait, no.
Wait, that. Added to the list.
When you're breaking down Fantastic Four, you're going to be like, wait a minute. He could have also done this.
Okay, so let us know in the comments below where you think Mephisto will show up next, where you want to see him show up next, even if it's not at all. But coming up on the new Rockstars channel in the next 7 days, it's going to be a huge week for us. Tomorrow, we'll have the breakdown of Jurassic World Rebirth. And then we're going to have a special guest on joining us on the break room tomorrow, and that's going to be our friend Aaron Perrine from the Phase Hero channel. Excited to have Aaron with us. And then on Friday, on the break room, we will be reviewing Superman, and we're going to have a special guest, Fit Dad CEO, who you may know from TikTok and Instagram, who's going to be joining us on the show. But on the new Rockstars channel, in addition to Jurassic World Rebirth, on Tuesday at noon Pacific time or Eastern time, I'm not sure which, you will see my review of James Gunn's Superman. I've had to stay quiet about how I feel about it, but you will finally see the floodgates open. And then throughout this week, it'll be a big Superman week. We're going to talk about the ending and any post-credit scenes that might be attached to the movie. On Friday will be our big Easter egg breakdown of the movie. And then we have a really fun episode of Rumor Rundown that's about like potentially future plans for Superman 2 and any other big rumors that have happened since then. So it's going to be a busy month and a busy week, but a lot of fun stuff coming up. Another reminder to subscribe to NR Underground if you're able and interested in listening in on some goofy banter, side chats, tangential shop talk conversations. We had a very interesting conversation John and I did about how AI is changing the job of a movie YouTuber and threatening it in some ways, but also just making it very hard in other ways. And it's a very nuanced conversation that I think you guys might really enjoy. All right, let's finish out with what we're watching.
What we're watching.
What have you been watching?
Nothing, dude. I've been watching Ironheart. I've been going in on Ironheart, and if it isn't Ironheart, I feel like it's another thing for work. It was probably 28 years later stuff, and then Ironheart. Yeah, because last time we were talking, I was watching a bunch of Danny Boyle and Alex Garland stuff to prep for 28 Years Later. And then I watched Ironheart. I'm really trying to think. I'm not watching anything other than Ironheart. Okay. And I'm satisfied with Ironheart. So I'm happy to report back.
I've been watching The Bear season 4.
Oh, yeah. How is it?
It's good. I think I like it better than The Bear season 3.
Well, I think everyone does not disagree with you.
Yeah.
Because everyone kind of complained about
season 3 just moved too slow and was too much about like just food porn, which I do. I do love food porn. This is doing more character development and relationship development. And I'm only halfway through it. We're now, the next episode is going to be like an hour, 9 minutes. So Kelly and I were just like, all right, let's pause here. But I really do like it. It's just wonderful. It's a wonderful world to live in.
I'm seeing clips of it, and it feels crazy to me. And maybe this is just how I feel. I think The Bear is the only show that can get away with having the biggest stars come and do cameo appearances. Because I saw the clips for the wedding. And I'm like, everybody's here. Okay, but I was like, there's a bunch of people there. And I was like, they get away with it so easy. Even like the dinner, the Christmas dinner.
Oh, God.
I was like, there's a lot of random cameo people in here that have been in Hollywood for a minute. And I'm just like, it doesn't distract me, though. It makes me just like weirdly happy to see them. I cannot
rewatch the Seven Fishes episode, the Christmas dinner episode.
As an emotional person or as
well, because like it's about just like a holiday dinner where things get very, very heated. And I've had a lot of very uncomfortable holiday dinners with my family and my friends, different groupings of people over my lifetime. And I am trying to forget those. Yeah. So when I watched that episode, like literally I had to hold a pillow in front of my face. And I just told Kelly, like, tell me when it's over, because it is just like too uncomfortable. Yeah. It's too real for me. So, but The Bear does that. It just kind of like stews you in anxiety and then just releases it in the best possible way.
I think that's why I'm okay with watching it, because I'm like, oh, I'm so far from everything that The Bear does. Like, there's not one part of it that I was like, oh, I've experienced this. It's been so, that's because I cannot watch The Rehearsal. I can't watch these other shows that like dramatically make me go, I'm shaking. I think the appeal for that Seven Fishes episode is the same I get for the Florida Project, where I'm like, I've never experienced this life, and I'm looking into it, and I'm like, holy shit. The Seven Fishes one is so visceral that I'm like, I can see people's families doing this, and I'm so thankful my family hasn't. But I'm like, the way Jamie Lee Curtis was acting, I was like, this doesn't feel like hyperbolic. I was like, this does not sound like it sounds real.
There are people like that, and it is where you're on pins and needles the entire time. Like even saying a nice thing like "Are you okay?" can just trigger someone. You know, being the youngest of a family and being that role, it's painful. Like
small families, thank God.
You were just walking on eggshells, and you arrived late to the party, and you were the accident. But you're now here, and you can't erase the fact that you're here. No. But like no one wanted you, but you're now just here, another mouth to feed, and everyone's just got that innate anger at you.
No,
so what do? You become a YouTuber, and that's how you process
That's crazy. You could have just joined the Marines.
Well, some people do that.
I was like, that's where they go. The little siblings. Marines, you scare the shit out of me. But that's all.
It's a great show. Let us know if you're watching The Bear. I like it. It's like comfort food in some ways, and some episodes are very uncomfortable. But when it is comfortable, it is like comfort food.
I can't deal with Carmy screaming at people.
Oh, I can't either.
I saw the clips of him and Sid, and I haven't
gotten to that yet.
It was just scenes where I'm like, leave my girl alone. God. You keep fucking with her. You are, and that's the visceral part of The Bear. I'm like, yeah, this man's broken, but I'm like, do not pull everybody into your orbit. They don't deserve this.
There's a new character, like Sid's cousin, who does her hair, and she's like, she needs her own spinoff. She's so good.
That's fun.
She's so funny, and I feel like I've seen her in other stuff, but that so far has been my favorite episode. Okay. But yeah.
Good.
That's what we're watching. Let us know in the comments below what you're watching. And if you listen to us on podcasting, we're starting to do that more. Do whatever you can. Give us like a positive rating. We'd appreciate that. And thank you all so much for joining us in this celebratory week that Mephisto is now in our lives. Follow Jessica at Lulu_Clemons. Follow me at EA Voss. Big thanks to Michaela for producing this episode behind the scenes. Support New Rockstars on all social media. And if you can, subscribe to NR Underground. And check out our merch store, nerdriot.shop, where we have some really, really cool designs like Jessica's Dino Chaos or whatever.
Dino DNA.
I'm not
well,
sure
that's not this one. I think it's called I think it's just the Jurassic World. Just, you go in there, type in Jurassic, and you'll get it.
It's a good one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.